Hello and welcome to another AIC Productions video. Today I'm doing a quick video overview of a Lenovo Ideapad 300S. If you watch my videos that I've posted recently, I had a 100S 14-inch that had some mechanical issues. The micro SD card slot was bad. Had to deal with Lenovo support, which they weren't able to fix my laptop due to lack of replacement parts, and so back and forth, and this was finally sent to me. So I wanted to go ahead and do an overview for this system. I know it's been a popular one for them, and I didn't see a lot of reviews for it online. So just to go over the basic specs of the system, it's got a Core i3 with 4 gigs of memory. It's got a 720 screen. It's 14-inch. Weighs just under 4 pounds. And this for me is a nice sweet spot for a laptop. 14-inch I feel gives you a very usable screen and a very light and convenient size. Once you start going to 15.6-inch screens and bigger, I feel like they just don't, they're just not as portable. And since I tend to carry a laptop with me at all times for work, portability is utmost for me. I would have much rather have had a 1080 screen, 1080 resolution. However, with dealing with Lenovo, that was an option at the time. So since this was a replacement laptop, I did have to pay a fee to cover the difference between what I paid for the 14-inch 100S and this system. Anyways, just to go over it, as with most Lenovos, the keyboard is pretty excellent to type on. It has a nice firm press to the keys without a loud click, and so when you're typing, you feel like you're typing on a decent keyboard. You don't get a lot of finger fatigue, but you don't get a lot of miss types either, since it's a nice firm press. They are pretty flat, and it is a short travel. I prefer the older W530 keyboards where they actually have more robust keys that have a little bit of a curve to them. But when you get to a thinner laptop like this, you just don't have that luxury. One thing of note is the number pad. Not the number pad, the directions. On a lot of laptops, the up and down are the same size combined as the left and right, and so basically this key is just cut in half. On this laptop, you actually get full directional keys, which is really nice if you use those a lot, which I do. I use a lot of Excel, and the directional keys come in handy. Because of 14-inch screen, you don't get a numpad off to the side, so it means that your touchpad and your keyboard are centered. I know a lot of people complain about that with the newer workbooks, that when you go up to a 15.6-inch screen, the number pad is added on, and then the mouse pad is shifted over to the keyboard. And that's never really been a bother for me, since I've had a lot of 15 and 17-inch laptops that have been like that, so it's kind of what I was used to. But I know a lot of people complain about it. The touchpad on this is pretty good. It is a multi-touch, unlike the 100S 11 or 14-inch screens. Those are not multi-touch keypads, which is kind of a disappointment. But it's pretty good. It has a nice feel to it. It's semi-glossy, so your finger runs over it with just enough friction. One thing on this, as you notice, that top edge kind of sticks up there. Now if I run my finger along, it kind of settles back into place. I don't know if that just isn't stuck in, or if there's a spring that holds it up. I don't know if I want to deal with sending it back into Lenovo support though, because this replacement laptop took me over a month and a half to get back, and I've heard other people taking even longer. So if it's not a problem, I'm not going to mess with it. One thing that does happen sometimes is when I'm going to click, and I think it's because I tend to move with one finger and then click. So I usually am controlling the cursor with my right finger, and then I'll click with my left. And because this is all touch sensitive, the cursor will jump to the bottom of the screen. The screen, as I said, is a 720. It's got okay viewing angles, especially right to left. They're okay. Top to bottom, they tend to wash out and get darker. So it's not the best screen in the world, but for this price point, you're simply not going to get a great screen. You're going to get an okay screen. The one thing I like about it is it does get nice and bright. The Dell 3000 series that I currently have, I don't feel like it gets bright enough. It's also a matte screen. It's not glossy. As you can see, you don't see me in a reflection in the screen, even though I do have the light on the camera on. You can see kind of where the light is, and it's being dulled out, and that's because it's a matte screen, which when you go to work outside, or if you work in a highlight environment, a matte screen is actually really nice because you don't get the reflection back, and it means typically means it's a little bit higher quality screen. As I said, the Dell has the exact same resolution on it, same size screen, and this is definitely a nicer screen with better viewing angles and better brightness. Now, one disappointment I do have with this laptop right now, and I apologize, I'm house sitting, so I don't have all my equipment, so I am having to one-hand the camera. I'll just go ahead and bring up Guild Wars here, since I know I won't get a takedown from the noise for that. But I don't know how well it's coming through into the camera, but I have the volume up pretty loud, and while the sound quality does not get distorted per se when it's up high, it does sound like it's in a tunnel. It sounds like it's kind of far away. Even though it's really loud, it sounds like it's coming through a tunnel, and that's because of its downward firing speakers and the position of the speakers. I'll go ahead and close Guild Wars just so. But yeah, I don't really like the position of the speakers. Now, because I'm doing this one-handed, I'll go ahead and close. Oh, it does not have a backlit keyboard. I did not see that it wasn't even an option. And I wish all laptops came with a backlit keyboard, because that has really been a really nice feature on some of my other laptops. Now, before I close all the way, this is a brushed metal plastic. This is not metal, it's plastic. But the outside actually is metal, or at least it feels metal. It's cold to the touch, which it definitely feels like it's metal, and it is brushed looking, so it looks the same on the inside and on the out, but they're slightly different materials. It is a fingerprint magnet. As you can see, I have fingerprints all over it. I haven't even had this 24 hours yet. Just to go over what you get, starting on the right side, you get a HDMI network port, RJ45, 2 USB 3 ports. This one is an always on. You see the battery there, so even if the laptop is powered off, this still gets power, which is really nice if you need to charge a cell phone or a camera or something. You just want to use the power of your laptop and you don't need to use the laptop. This is a reset button. I've seen this more and more on newer laptops. It used to be on old laptops, but then it has been more recently on newer laptops. Now, if I come around to this side laptop, again, I apologize for doing it one-handed. There's nothing along the front edge. On the left-hand side, you have a power and charge indicator, which I do like having a lot to tell you what it's doing. You have the headphone microphone jack combined, and I wish they were still separate. I have some things do not work with the single headphone microphone jack. Micro SD port, USB 2, and your charging port, and your Kensington lock. Now, this being a Core i3, it is actively cooled. There's the intake. Now, as you can see, there was no exhaust ports on the back or on the sides. It actually exhausts behind this hinge, so when you have it open, it exhausts kind of up the screen. And that's becoming more and more common on these thinner, lighter laptops, which makes sense. One thing I will just mention, if you tend to run it hard I would have some way to keep the screen open, even if you plug it into an external monitor, just so that it has plenty of cooling. I just feel it. You can kind of see the ports in there. I just don't know if there's enough airflow pushing out when the screen is closed. It might. I haven't had this 24 hours. I haven't done a huge amount of testing on it yet. Just installed updates and installing some applications and things like that, which always takes forever. It does have a 500 gig spindle drive. I'm definitely going to be getting an SSD for it. With an SSD, you get better battery life, a lot better battery life. You get a lighter machine, not by much, but it does lighten it a little bit, and you get a huge bump in performance. It's ridiculous how much faster the system is with an SSD. So if you have never used a system with an SSD, I definitely get it. The other thing that you get is reliability, especially with a laptop. Laptops tend to get bumped around. Even when they're off, you can damage a spinning hard drive by bumping the laptop, and you just take that vulnerability away with an SSD. It is fairly light. Oh, see, I'm going to break it. It is very light at just under 4 pounds. With the screen open, I tend to have to grab. Now it kind of opens with one hand. I tend to have to grab laptops like this a lot, and it just feels nice and sturdy when you hold it by the corner with one hand. I don't feel like the chassis is flexing and it's going to damage anything on the inside, which is good. It's a very nicely sturdy case, nicely built sturdy case. Now, as far as upgradability, I've not tried to open it yet. I don't have anything to upgrade it with at this time, but it looks like to upgrade it, you actually have to take off all the screws all the way around to remove this bottom panel, and I'll show that when I actually go to upgrade the hard drive to that SSD. And typically I prefer an access panel of some kind, even if it's just a little one to get to the memory and to the hard drive, just so you don't have to take the whole panel off. But obviously with these thinner, lighter, and less expensive laptops, that additional cost and engineering and thickness added to the system. Mainly cost, I think. My ZBook 14, which is just as thin and as light as this, but costs about 5 or 6 times as much money. The whole back panel comes off very easily, as you can see in my other videos. But that's just a quick overview of the system. Again, I haven't done any performance testing on it. All I've really done is played Guild Wars on it lightly. And I'm able to set everything at a medium setting. With a resolution of this laptop, the video card doesn't have to work as hard as it would with a 1080 resolution screen. So I think I'll be able to run it at either medium or medium high settings for gameplay. And of course Minecraft will run just fine, I'm sure, on this. What I'll really test for is battery life. That's something that for me is on a laptop like this. Obviously it's not a powerhouse that's going to play the latest and greatest of every game out there, but of the games that you can play on it, it's important to know how long you can run the laptop for on just the battery. Anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer those. If you want to support my channel, I do appreciate that. The best way to do that is by using my Amazon link that I have in the description to this video. I get a small percentage of anything you purchase on Amazon, so I appreciate that, and it helps me continue to provide content like this video. This laptop was not provided to me by Lenovo for review. I did purchase it with my own money, as anybody else would do. In this case, I did have to go through customer service and support and things like that to get this laptop. Unfortunately, I won't be doing any more reviews on the 100S with the 14-inch screen anytime soon, simply because I don't have it anymore. But thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.